The sound of laughter and clinking glasses filled the conference room, but I barely heard it. My phone buzzed on the table, Tyler's name flashing across the screen. I slipped out into the hallway, expecting the usual check-in. How's the trip? Or when are you coming home? Instead, his voice came through sharp and smug. I'm divorcing you, he said flatly. And before you ask, I've already sold the apartment. You'll need to figure out where you're going to live. For a second, I couldn't breathe. The words hit me like a slap. His tone wasn't regretful or uncertain. It was triumphant. You sold the apartment? I asked, forcing my voice to stay calm. Yeah, he replied with a dry laugh. Nicole and I need the money to start our life together. She deserves better than that tiny place anyway. Nicole. The name sliced through me like glass. I'd suspected for months that there was someone else. The late nights, the sudden work trips, the emotional distance. But hearing her name confirmed what I already knew. And worse, he said it like I was the intruder in their life. Sounds good, I said evenly. I refused to give him the satisfaction of hearing me break out, my name is Amelia. And up until that phone call, I believed I was married to a man I could trust. Tyler and I had been together for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were a team. The apartment, our apartment, was more than just a home. It was the life we'd built together, or at least the life I thought we had. Looking back, I'd ignored the signs. The dismissive way he handled finances, the evasive smiles when I asked about money, the way he'd charm his way out of every serious conversation. I thought his confidence meant he was capable. In truth, it meant he knew how easily he could manipulate me. The rest of that day passed in a fog. I sat through meetings, nodding and smiling while my mind replayed his words. Tyler thought he'd won, that he could pull the rug out from under me, sell my home, and walk away clean. But there was one thing he didn't know. The deed to the apartment had been in my name. Alone for months, after refinancing earlier that year, Tyler had signed the paperwork without reading it, something he always did. He thought it was just another favor I'd take care of. That carelessness was going to be his undoing. By the time I returned to my hotel that night, my shock had hardened into resolve. I wasn't going to cry, and I wasn't going to beg. If Tyler wanted a fight, he'd get one, but it would be on my terms. My first call was to Chloe, my lawyer and longtime friend. I explained everything, every painful detail. He sold the apartment? She asked, and does he even realize he can't do that without your consent? Apparently not, I said, my voice calm but my pulse racing. He thinks he's already spent the money on his new life with Nicole. Chloe let out a low, incredulous laugh. Then he's in for a rude awakening. The sales invalid, Amelia. You're the sole owner. If he's taken any money, that's fraud. The word fraud sent a shiver of satisfaction through me. What's our next move? First, we notify the buyer that the sale isn't legal, Chloe said firmly. Then I'll send Tyler a formal letter. He needs to understand exactly what he's done and what the consequences will be. When I hung up, I felt an unfamiliar calm settle over me. Tyler thought he'd left me powerless. He had no idea I was just getting started. The rest of my trip passed in focus. I buried my emotions under work, channeling my anger into clarity. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my power and watching his arrogance collapse under the weight of his own mistakes. When I landed back home, my first call was to Chloe. I'm back, I said. What's next? We've already notified the buyer, she said briskly. They're furious with Tyler but willing to cooperate. I sent him the letter this morning. He hasn't responded yet, but trust me, he's fuming. Good, I said quietly. Let him stew. When I stepped into the apartment, it felt eerie. Tyler's things were still there, his jacket draped over the chair, his shoes by the door, but the space itself felt different, lighter, as if it already knew it didn't belong to him anymore. He showed up that evening, storming in with his phone in hand and fury on his face. What the hell is this? He shouted, waving Chloe's letter. You're telling me I can't sell the apartment? It's half mine. No, Tyler, I said, crossing my arms. It's not. The deed has been in my name for months. You can't sell something you don't own. He froze, confusion flickering into anger. What are you talking about? I pulled out the deed I'd set aside and handed it to him. You signed this after we refinanced, remember? Or did you just skim the paperwork like you always do? His jaw tightened. You think you're so clever, don't you? This doesn't change anything. I already made a deal. The sale's void, I said evenly. The buyer knows, and if you've spent any of the deposit, you're facing fraud charges. So yes, Tyler, this changes everything. For the first time, I saw doubt flicker in his eyes. You don't know what you're talking about, he muttered. Looking away, oh, I do, I said, my voice steady. I've been paying attention, even when you thought I wasn't. He began pacing, his frustration boiling over. You can't just throw me out of here. Actually, I said, raising an eyebrow, I can. But I'm giving you a few days to figure things out of courtesy, not obligation. Over the next few days, Tyler's anger turned to desperation. The calls came one after another, angry, pleading, pathetic. Meanwhile, Chloe tied up every legal loose end. The buyer backed out, furious, and Chloe began preparing the divorce papers. You're in a strong position, Amelia, she told me. Tyler has no leverage. He'll have to cooperate. For the first time in years, I felt the ground beneath me again, solid and mine. That sense of strength only grew when Tyler returned, this time with Nicole in tow. They walked in like they owned the place. So this is where we're staying, she said, looking around with a smug smile. I stood up, calm but firm. No, this is where Tyler was staying. You're not staying here at all. Her smile faltered. Tyler glared at me. You can't do this. This? I gestured around. This is my home, not yours, and definitely not a hotel for you and your girlfriend. Nicole's confidence wavered. Wait, you said this was your apartment, she said to Tyler, her tone sharp. He stammered, It's complicated. No, I said. It's simple. He tried to sell something that doesn't belong to him. That's fraud, and I'm fully prepared to press charges if he doesn't leave today. Nicole's eyes widened. Fraud? She whispered, stepping back. You lied to me? Tyler's composure cracked. Amelia, please. You threw me out the moment you made that call, I said coldly. Now I'm just returning the favor. Nicole left without another word. Tyler stood there, pale and defeated. You can't just end it like this, he said softly. We've been together for 6 years. You ended it the moment you betrayed me, I replied. Now sign the divorce papers and go. When the door finally closed behind him, silence filled the apartment. Not empty silence, but peaceful, liberating quiet. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Over the next few weeks, I reclaimed my home piece by piece. I boxed up Tyler's things, rearranged the furniture, hung my art on the walls. The space became mine again, warm, calm, and full of light. Lauren, my best friend, showed up one evening with wine and takeout. "So he's really gone?" she asked. "Gone and not coming back," I said with a smile. She raised her glass. "To fresh starts and finally standing up for yourself." I clinked my glass against hers. "To never letting anyone walk all over me again." The divorce went through quietly. No dramatic confrontations, no last-minute pleas. Just a clean final break, and with it, the freedom I'd been craving. One evening, as I sipped tea by the window, I thought about that phone call, Tyler's arrogance, his laugh when he thought he'd won. And I smiled. His downfall was his own doing. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the beginning of a new life, one where I finally chose myself.